Okay, Gr10s, welcome. We're starting a brand new topic today. We are finishing off your journals and we're going to look at salaries and wages. So we are kicking off with salaries and wages. It's quite a big topic. So we're starting off with the salaries, then we're going to look at wages and posting both of these journals, the salaries journal and the wage journal, to the ledgers. So the general ledger will also be used with these two journals. So we covered all the cash journals and when we buy and sell on credit, and we looked at the general journal. Now we're going to focus on the last two journals. Again, the salaries journal and the wage journal. But I need you to know all the terminology before we jump into the journal. It's a lot easier if you understand what the gross salary is, what deductions are, what a net salary is, how do we pay these salaries. So let's start off with salaries and wages and the terminology thereof. So terminology, what do you understand with the following words? If I tell you, explain it in a sentence, explain all of these in one sentence for me. The very first one, salaries. Number two, a gross salary. Number three, deductions. Number four, a net salary. And then the fifth one, a salary advice. Now I want to give you 2 minutes to quickly look at these terms and explain them to me. Okay guys, so let's look at your answers. Hopefully you still remember that a salary will be an expense for a company or a business. So for a sole trader, salaries will be regarded as expenses and expenses will be shown on the debit side of the salary ledger account. But now, salaries, a basic salary is calculated on an annual basis and paid monthly. So I can say your annual salary can be 240,000 per annum and therefore you will earn 20,000 Rand per month. But this will be the cost to company, for example. Another one, a gross salary, that will be a basic salary plus any other payments such as bonuses or any other contributions. We'll look at contributions a little bit later today as well. The next one, deductions. Certain deductions will be made from the employee's salary. We'll also look at deductions in detail. A net salary will be your gross salary minus deductions. That will give you your net salary and that will be the take-home pay for that employee. And then lastly, a salary advice will be an advice that is given to each employee that provides information about their gross salary all their deductions and contributions, etc. And then you'll see the net pay, and that net salary will be the amount that will be paid into the account of the employee. Let's go on. Now I want to look at terminology for wages. So remember, wages, also a type of payment to your workers. But we're going to look at the differences between salaries and wages soon. I want to give you 2 minutes to quickly go over this as well. Wages, a pay slip, rate of remuneration, the normal time, the overtime remuneration, gross wage, deductions, and net wage. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to quickly look at these concepts, and then hopefully you'll be able to jot down a few points under each. So your 2 minutes will start now. Okay guys, let's go and look at all these terms and what they mean. I think you'll be able to answer these a little bit easier because we already looked at the salaries, and now it's very similar to wages. So let's go and look at the very first one. Firstly, wages. Remuneration paid to employees, so it's again a payment to employees on a basis of an hourly rate, and it's normally paid weekly. The amount varies depending on the hours worked. Now, I can have two different ways to pay my employees when I pay wages. I can pay them hourly, or I can pay them according to a piecework system. So therefore, for every unit or every product they made, they will get a certain amount of money. For overtime, the hourly rate is higher, normally 1.5 on a Saturday or during the week, and double pay on a Sunday. Now, their pay slip is given to each employee that provides information about the gross wage, again, the deductions, and the net wage. So it's more or less like an advice slip for the salary earners. The rate of remuneration is calculated on an amount per hour or per week or per day at which an employee will be remunerated. So remuneration is a salary, it's a payment. For example, 20 Rand per hour or 30 Rand per unit, if I use another example. Normal time, that will be a 40-hour week that we have in South Africa. So it's a system according to which employees are paid a set fee per hour. But now, if they work more than the 40 hours, for example, remuneration paid to workers who work longer than that. So if I work 42 or 45 or 50 hours a week, I will get overtime. So I'll get a bit more. And then your gross wage, that is the basic wage, plus any other payments such as overtime. And your deductions, just like with salaries, it's a certain deduction made from the employer's weekly wage. Some are compulsory, some are willing. So people want to belong to medical aid or pension fund. It's not a compulsory deduction, but they want to belong to those. And then how do I get the net wage? I take gross wage less deductions. Now, grade 10s, hopefully you know these terms, you study these terms, and you know what each term stands for. But now, let's think a bit into the future now. You're in grade 10, so within 2.5 years, you can almost start your new job, your very first real job. So let's say you go after matric and you apply for a job and they offer you 10,000 Rand a month. Will you be happy with 10,000 Rand a month for the next 10 years? Or would you like maybe an increment, an increase every year? So like a yearly increase, because everything in the world goes up. Just think of your electricity and your petrol during the month of April, how much it's going up. It's going up a lot. So therefore, your salary also needs to increase to maintain the same standard of living. So what we're going to look at now is a salary scale. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's look at the very first one. Skip that one. A salary scale. It shows the employee what his starting salary is, and also shows what the employee can see, what future increments or increases he'll have, and then what notch it will take place. So, for example, let's take a salary for J. Kraus, that's our employee, and I'm telling you, he will start earning 180,000 Rand per year, and it will go up with 20,000 Rand every year until he gets to 240. When he reaches 240, it will again go up with 30,000 per year until he reaches the salary of 330,000. So let's go and look at how to do the calculation. So year 1 starts, and he will start with 180,000 Rand for the year. Now what happens in year 2? So in year 2, this is year 2, this is year 1. We will have to take year 1 salary. So what is year 1 salary? It's 180,000. We need to go up with 20. And therefore in year 2, he will earn 200,000 Rand. Now, what will happen in year 3? Year 3, we take year 2 salary, which is 200,000. What are we going to add? We're going to add 20,000. And then you will see at the end of year 3, he needs to earn, or during year 3, he needs to earn 220,000. Now let's see, did we meet the notch? Not yet. We need to go up to 240, as you can see. So that will be the maximum for the 20 increases. So in year 4, we need to take year 3 salary. What's year 3 salary? It's 220,000. And what do we need to add? Again, 20. And now you will see that we've reached that maximum of 240,000 per year in year 4. Now what will happen in year 5? We need to take year 4 salary. So what is year 4 salary? It's 240. But now, are we going to add 20,000? Or let's look at the question, are we going to add 30,000? Yes, we need to add a full 30,000 Rand. And then you will see that we have in year 5, this guy, J. Kraus, will earn 270,000. What will we do in year 6? Year 6, we need to take year 5 salary, which is 270. So we take 270,000. What do? We add 30,000, and then you will get 300,000 Rand for year 6. And then year 7, we need to take again year 6 salary, which is 300,000. We need to add 30. And then at the end of year 7, or during year 7, this guy would earn 330,000, and that is up to where our salary scale shows what salary J. Kraus will earn. So at the end of year 7, as you can see, his salary increased up to 330,000 Rand. Now, I skipped a slide. I want to quickly give this work to you to go over during our ad break. Let's go and look at it. I want you to compare salaries and wages. Show me the main differences between salaries and wages. So I'm going to give you about 1 minute to 2 minutes to quickly show me the main differences between salaries and wages. I'll see you after the break. Okay guys, let's quickly compare salaries with wages. What's the main differences? A salary will be paid monthly. Wages will be paid weekly. But now I just want to quickly emphasize, if I say bi-weekly, that means that I pay every second week. Then another one, a salary is a fixed amount and is negotiated before the employee starts his job. What is the wage? This is a rate, and this rate will be also negotiated before the employee starts his job, but it will be an hourly rate. So therefore, I will be paying this employee per hour, or I can put in his contract that he will be a piecework rater. So he will be paid at a piecework, and that means every unit he's made or finished or completed, he will get a certain amount. Now, guys, remember we looked at the salary scale in detail. Now, I showed you that Gr10 started with 180 and it goes up with a certain amount every year. That was 20,000 up to when he reaches a certain amount, and that amount was 240. Then after that it goes up more. It goes up with 30,000 Rand per year until he again reaches a certain amount. Now I want to leave you with a question for 5 minutes. So let's quickly read this question together. Gugu Chabalala was appointed manager of the business as from the 1st of March. So this is the first time she steps foot into this business and she's starting as manager. And in a contract, they negotiated that Gugu will earn 150,000 Rand for the first year, and then it will go up with 15,000 per year until she reaches the salary per year of 210,000. Then it will go up with 25,000 until she reaches again 310,000. Now I have 2 questions for you. Let's look at them. Number 1, calculate the annual salary that Gugu can expect for the year commencing the 1st of March 2023. So that's quite in future, right? And then number 2, what will Gugu earn per month at the end of year 7 if a bonus is included in the annual amount? So that's a tricky one. Remember, we have 12 months a year, but if she receives a bonus, how many months will we then have to divide the yearly salary for the 7th year by? Hopefully I gave you a good clue. I'm giving you 3 minutes to quickly complete both questions. Grade 10s, I know you got all of it right. Let's quickly go over it together. Now, remember I said at the year of 2023, so she's starting 2015. So let's say for the year 2015 to 16, that's the very first year, Google will earn 150,000. Okay, but now for the year that's starting March 16 to 17, she will earn 150, but we need to increase it with what? 15,000. And therefore, Google will earn during this year 165,000. And what will happen in the next year? We have 17 and 18. Now, we have to take newly salary, our last salary is 165,000. And then we need to add again 15 until we get to 210,000. So we're not there yet. Let's add it up. You'll see now we have Google earning 180,000. So in the fourth year, which is the year 2018 to 2019, the last salary was 180,000, and now it needs to go up again with 15,000. So therefore, Google will earn at the end of this year or during this year 195,000. Still not reached the increment on the notch, actually that's the notch, eh? And then in the year 19 to 2020, latest salary 195,000 plus 15, then we will get the 210,000. Now as you can see, we've done a couple of years now. But what happens when we reach the notch of 210,000? It needs to go up. With how much now? 25,000. So in the year 2020 to 2021, we're almost there. We take the 210 plus, how much is the increment? It's 25,000. And then we'll get 235,000. Almost there. 21 to 22. And as you can see, we have to do for 23. So what's the latest salary? 235,000 plus the 25,000. That will give you 260. And now, this question, calculate the annual salary that Google can expect for the year starting 2023. And this is actually my answer. So let's do it in a nice dark color in black, 22 to 23. So commencing, so we have 260,000, sorry, let's quickly clean that up nicely. Let's continue. We have to say 260,000 plus 25,000, and then we get 285,000, and now that's the year commencing. So the year commencing in 2023 is then your 285 plus your 25, and that will be then your 310,000, and that will be your actual answer, because we need to start the year in 23 up to 24. So you can't stop here, guys. You need to continue a bit, because the year commencing, starting 2023. So your answer will be 310,000. Now let's look at answer or question number 2. For year number 7, what do we need to do? We need to calculate it per month if an annual bonus is included. So let's go and check. What is my years? I have year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, and year is year number 7. So I have to take 260, divide by how many months? 12 plus 1 for the bonus. And then you will see that for a normal month, she will earn 20,000 Rand, but 1 month she will earn double that, because she will get a bonus. Now guys, I hope you understand the salary scale and that you'll be able to do it in great detail and answer all questions about it. But let's go on and look at now deductions. All salaries will have some deductions. Now I'm going to quickly read the deductions for you, and then I will give you 1 minute to think about them and answer the question. So, all salaries will have some deductions. What deductions will we have? We'll have pay as you earn as one. We'll have medical aid fund. We'll have the unemployment insurance fund, which is UIF. We'll have another one called the pension fund. And that's the 4 main deductions that I want to quickly leave you with. Hopefully you'll get all 4 correct. See you in a minute. Okay guys, let's look at the deductions together. So some of these deductions will be compulsory deductions, some will be nice to have. So you can decide as employee if you want to belong to the medical aid or if you want to belong to the pension fund. Some companies make it compulsory, but it's still your choice if it is not compulsory in that certain company. Now, pay as you earn, that's tax. So remember, taxes are paid on all salaries earned if it's above a certain amount. So tax is paid by the employee to SARS, and we looked at SARS when we looked at VAT last week. So SARS will collect all of this money from the employer, so the employer will deduct the amount of tax from the employee and then pay all of those amounts over to SARS on a monthly basis. What is the medical aid fund? The medical aid fund serves the purpose to provide medical assistance to the employee and his dependents, so that can be his wife or his parents or his children, for any medical expenses. The employee's contribution is also calculated according to the number of dependents. So I'm giving you a new word. We have deductions and we have contributions. We're going to look at contributions in detail in our last segment today. So let's go on to UIF, the Unemployment Insurance Fund. This is again a compulsory deduction. Every person who earns a salary or a wage is required to contribute a percentage of his income to the UIF. And that percentage currently is 1%, as you can see. And then the last deduction we have is pension fund. Now, what is a pension fund deduction? Employees mostly contribute to a pension fund so that they can receive a monthly income when they retire. And that's normally a certain percentage on the gross salary. Now, guys, what you need to remember when we look at your deductions, we'll have a gross salary minus all of these deductions. Now, remember, these are things you need to pay or which you want to have, like medical aid and pension fund. Therefore, we'll earn less, and then you will actually get your net salary in your bank account. So keep that in mind when we complete the salaries journal. So always your gross salary minus all these deductions. The company takes it off your salary and then only gives you your net salary. So the company will pay all of these different institutions for you. But let's continue. The employer contributions. What contributions will we have? The employer can contribute as well to UIF. It's compulsory, they need to. They will contribute to pension fund. That's an optional one. They don't need to, but they can. We have a medical aid fund contribution. That's also optional. They don't need to contribute. But then the skills development levy, or SDL, how we call it in accounting, that's also a compulsory contribution to from the employer to the employee. But remember, the employee is not getting this contribution. They're just showing that they are contributing for the employee to different things. Now, these contributions are expenses, so that you need to remember. They are all expenses. Therefore, the total expense for business will always be the gross salary with all the other contributions. So therefore, the employer's compulsory contribution to know is UIF and the skills development levy, and both are at 1%. Only the employer contributes towards the STL fund, not the employee. But let's finish up. Calculate the employer's contribution to pension fund. Now, I want to quickly show you how to calculate a contribution. The employer contribution here is 2 Rand for every 1 Rand. Now, for example is my worker. He earns a salary of 10,000. And the contribution to the pension fund by the employee, so that's the deduction. So let's mark it as a D, deduction, is 600. Now, if the employee gives 600, how much will the employer give? So if I give 1 Rand, the employer gives 2 Rand. Now, how many Rand did the employee give? 600. So what do I need to do? I need to take the 600 times 2 to get the contribution from the employer. And this will be my contribution column. Now, what I want to leave you with during the ad break is complete just the contributions for the following 2 guys. Ben Makuna, he earns a salary of 34,000, but his pension fund, so this is what you need to quickly take down. His contribution is 4,050, but remember the employer gives 2 Rand for every 1 Rand. And then Sanele Jonas contributes. So again, these are the employee contributes. So this is a deduction, 2125. So take that answer down as well, that amount down, so that you can quickly calculate the contribution by the employer. Again, for every 1 Rand, the employer gives, the employer gives 2 Rand. Hopefully you get both right. See you after the break with your correct answers. Okay guys, so hopefully you got both of these right. Let's look at it. You have to take your 4,050 times by 2 because the employer gives 2 Rand for every 1 Rand the employee gives. And the same thing with Sanele Jonas, you have to take your 2125 times 2 to get your answers. And therefore your answer will be 8,100 and 4,250. So that is when the employer contributes as well. Let's go look at the next contribution. So your next contribution will be calculate the employer's contribution towards the medical aid fund. The employer contributes to the medical aid on a Rand to Rand basis. So this is very easy. Example, salary is 10,000, his medical aid contribution from himself, he gives 500, so this is the deduction. So therefore the contribution by the employer will be the same. Every 1 Rand equals every 1 Rand. So if I give 500, the employer will give 500. If I give 1,000, the employer will give 1,000, and that will be seen as the contribution, the C. I want to give you 30 seconds to quickly complete the employer's contributions for medical aid, Ben Makuna and Sanele Jonas. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to complete these 2 questions. Okay guys, so hopefully you are distinguishing between deductions and contributions. Deductions, quite easy, that's what the employee gives. Contributions, what the employer, the company, the business, the sole trader gives to the employees. Now let's look at your answers. Now for every R1 the employee gives, the employer will also give R1. So very easy, it will be the same amount as the employee's contribution. The employer's contribution will be exactly the same because they are equal, as you can see. R1 equals the R1. Same thing here, 3,850 equals 3,850 and 1,720 equals 1,720. Let's go and look at the last contribution by the employer. And this one is straightforward. Calculate the UIF contribution at 1% of the gross salary on the following salaries. I'm giving you again Ben and Sanele. They need to contribute 1% to the UIF of their salaries. Now what will the employer's contribution be if Ben and Sanele each contribute 1%? So I'm giving you 1 minute to quickly calculate both of these contributions. Good luck. Okay guys, I know you calculated correctly, so let's look at the answers. What you had to do is you had to take your gross salary and you had to times it by 1% for both, and then you will see that your employer's contribution to UIF will be 340 for Ben and 250 for Sanele. Now that we've completed all of the deductions and contributions and we understand all of these things, we're going to jump into the salaries journal. Now I'm going to go with you step by step on how to complete the salary journal. It's a very nice journal. When you get it in an exam or a test, you should ace it. You should really get maximum marks here because it's not that difficult. Let's go and look at the information. So firstly, use the following information to prepare the salaries journal for NAO traders. And this journal will be completed for February 2016. Now, the information given, I have 3 employees. I'm going to use different colors to highlight them. The very first employee is Tando. She earns 228,000 per year. So that's your yearly salary. You need to divide it by 12 to get your per month salary. Now, I'm telling you, Tando is married and her husband belongs to the medical fund. So she pays for herself and her husband to belong to that medical aid. Then we have a second salary earner, Renilwe, and she earns 205,200 per year, and therefore again divided by 12 to get the per month salary. And then our very last one, Ntukozo. Oh, just sorry, Renilwe is single, right? But Ntukozo earning 180,000 per month. So again, per year, we need to divide it by 12 to get the per month answer. And now I'm telling you, Ntukozo is married and her husband does not belong to the medical aid fund. Now, what did I show you here? I showed you 3 salary earners. I showed you what they earn per year. You calculated each one's monthly salary. What other information do we have? we have the following deductions were made. So these are the deductions. These deductions will be from the employee, the worker, the guy working in the company will pay this. So 5% of the gross salary will go to the pension fund. 18% of the gross salary will be pay as you earn. 1% of your gross salary, remember a deduction will be UIF, and these two will be compulsory. And then the last one, the medical aid fund is 1,100 Rand per member. Now, let's go and look at the contributions. You see it's quite a lot of info. The following contributions were made by Neo Traders. So I'm looking at the pension fund. For every 1 Rand the employee gives, the company or the business will also give 1 Rand. Now they say the medical aid fund will give 50% of the employee's contributions. So they will give half of what the employee gives, but it will be capped at 800, a maximum of 800. And then they will also give the compulsory contributions of your UIF and SDL. Now, what do I do? Let's go and look at the journal. Okay, guys, so the journal, we have to start with the very first column called employee. Now, you will place your employees in this column. So we have Tando, and we'll have Renilwe, and we'll have Ntukozo as our employees. Now, I'm going to do Tando and Renilwe with you, and then you will do Ntukozo for me as a question. Now, remember, how did I get 19 and 17,100? I took the annual salary and I divided it by 12. So therefore, Tando earns 19,000 Rand per month and Renilwe earns 17,100 Rand per month. Now, your deductions. This is what the worker or the employee will pay for themselves. Remember, they don't pay it physically by themselves, but the company will take it off their salary, off their gross salary, and then it will be paid over to the different institutions. So remember, the pension fund was 5%. So I have to take each one's gross salary, and I need to times it by 5%. And if you take your calculator and say 19,000 times 5%, you will get 950. And if you take 17,100 times 5% on your calculator, you will get 855. Now, within your information, I'll quickly go and show you again so that you don't get confused. Your gross salary needs to be taxed at 18%. So your pay as you earn will be 18% on the gross salary. So let's go and work that out. Calculators need to be handy and on your table. So you take your 19,000 times 18%. So I'm just showing you the calculation. You can't do this in your exam. So 18% times 19,000 will give you your answer of 3,420, and then your 17,100 times 18% will give you 3,078. Now your medical aid. I told you that the workers or the employees, they contribute to the medical aid at 1,100 Rand per member. Now, Renilwe is a single lady, so she'll only contribute the 1,100. But Tando is married, and she also pays for a husband. So 1,100 for Tando and 1,100 Rand for her husband. That means Tando is paying 2,200 Rand for the medical aid out of her own pocket. So the company will deduct that from her salary. So let's go and look at this one. Tando, the medical aid deduction will be 2,200 because she's married and her husband belongs to the medical aid. And then Renilwe, 1,100. Now UIF. Now this is law in South Africa that UIF contributions and deductions will be 1%. So 1% of the salary of Tando will be 190 Rand, and then Renilwe, also 1%, 171. Now, how do I get this total? I need to get this total so that I know how much I need to subtract from my employees. So I'm going to block it nicely for you. So what do? I add all of these amounts up to get my total deduction. So this is your total deductions. So if Tando earns a gross salary of 19,000, what will be deducted? 6,760. And then if you take your gross minus your deductions, that will give you your net salary. And this net salary will be paid into the accounts of Tando, Renilwe, and Ntokozo. So what do? 19,000 minus 6,760 will equal my 12,240. But then the 17,100 minus 5,204, that will give you 11,896. And that's the two net salaries, and that's what we will pay into these workers' accounts. Now, the contributions. Now, this is extra expenses for the company. The medical aid will be capped at 800, and it's 50%. So if you take 50% of your medical aid, it will be 1,100, but the company only pays a maximum of 800, and therefore your contribution will be 800 here. But now Renilwe pays 1,100. So what is half of 1,100? 50% will be 550, and 550 is below the medical aid, so the full amount will be covered as a contribution, 550. The pension fund is contributed on the same basis. Let's quickly go and look at it again. 1 rand for 1 rand, and then the other two 1% each. So again, your pension fund 5%. Now remember, we already calculated there, so 950 and 855 exactly the same as your deductions, and then 1% for UIF, 1% for SDL will give you your 1%, which you also worked out in your deductions a little bit earlier. Now, how do I get this total? I just add all of these contributions, and that shows me my full contributions. Now, guys, I'm going to quickly give you 1 minute to complete Ntokozo. Now, remember, work out your gross salary. What was Ntokozo's gross salary? Let's go and see what was Ntokozo's gross salary before I leave you with a question. Was 180,000 Rand per year. So I need to go and calculate the monthly amount. So if you took that down, so 180,000 for a year, and then she is married, but her husband does not belong to the medical aid. That's the key information that you need. The rest of the information I did show you on the salaries journal for you to make it easier to complete. So 1 minute to complete Ntokozo's line entry. Okay guys, I hope you got it right. Let's go and look at it. 180,000 divided by 12 will give you 15,000 Rand. So that's Ntokozo's gross salary. But remember, Ntokozo is not getting this 15,000 because we deduct certain things from her salary. Because Ntokozo belongs to the pension fund, she will pay 5% to the pension fund, and that will be 750 Rand. We'll also deduct 18% for her pay as you earn. And that amount will be then 2,700. What will she contribute to the medical aid? Only 1,100 because her husband belongs to his own medical aid. And then what is 1% of UIF? 150 Rand will be contributed or deducted for the UIF. Now, how do I get this total again? I need to take all my answers here and add it up to get my total deductions. Now, how will I get my net salary? I take my gross salary minus deductions to give me my net salary, and that will be 10,300. So that is what Ntokozo will get in a bank account. And now the employer's contributions. The employer will give the maximum of 550 because it's under 800 Rand. Also, the pension fund contribution, the same because it's a 1 Rand for 1 Rand contribution method. The STL and UIF will be both at 1%, and then you add all of those amounts up. If you add all of these amounts, what will you get? You will get your total contributions, and therefore, last column, you need to write out a check. So what do? I write out check 1 and 2 and 3 and then pay them. And what do? Lastly, I add up all the columns to get my circle mark. As you can see, I already added a few to prove that you need to add up your columns because it's journal. Now guys, next week we'll post this journal to the general ledger. Go and practice, and remember, practice makes perfect. See you soon. Bye-bye.